welcome. And for those of you that are new, I'm Karen, and I host these every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern, and we talk about different topics. And so I come with 20 years experience of coaching and over 20 years experience from business when I think of my corporate experience, and I pull that in. And so not just being a certified business coach, but also a Reiki master teacher and a craniosacral therapist. So I bring that mind, body, spirit into all of my sessions with my clients, as well as when we're talking here. Back in January, we did one about the mind, body, spirit and how that interconnects. So you'll see those come up every once in a while. So that's kind of where we're at. So if you're here, drop a good morning. Good morning, Nicole. Hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, you can catch the replay. I'll put it up in the featured area when we're done, and then it will also go in the library for indefinite access. Okay, it's Tuesday. We are into spring, and it is not looking like spring outside for us. We actually got snow on Saturday morning, I think it was. It didn't stick, thank goodness, but I was not too happy because I like my, good morning, Sherry. I like my my sunshine. I like my warmer weather. So, but you know, live in mid-Michigan, and we're going to get all four seasons, which I love too. So there you go. Today, boosting efficiency. This is something, we have touched on this in different trainings over the last year. We've touched on it inside of the group. We touch on it all the time because we're always looking at time management. How do we get more by doing less, right? There's the saying of, Meta's giving me some sort of notice. How about that? You know, how do we do more and be just effective with our time, but not cost us as much? So, yes, Maria, back and forth. I know. Mother Nature, figure it out. Let us know where we land so I know if I can put my winter coats away or not. That's all I'm asking, right? So, so when we're looking at boosting efficiency, last week we talked about marketing on a budget. Like that was our topic. And one of the first things that we discussed was that you're going to either do time or investment, like yourself, or you're going to do a financial investment. It's one or the other, right? And so we talked about making the decision, what can we do for ourselves? How much time is that going to take? What can we delegate out and hire somebody to do? Or is there a hybrid where they kind of kick us off and then we kind of take over and then they come back in every once in a while? So that's kind of where I wanted to pick that up, because it was like we had a really good discussion last week, and I think you should be able to find it up in the features to watch the replay. And I wanted to kind of follow up on that because I'm realizing, you know, like again, like Meta's changing things. Like it was super simple, and now come Monday, which we all kind of knew, they warned us about, right? So now we're changing things up, and so we have to learn something new. So again, we're having this investment of time, right? It's not, they didn't make it simple, even though they think it's simple, right? And it can be simple, but for most of us, and I include myself, we can be techie to a point. And then it becomes like over our heads or above our pay grade. That's what I would say. When it's something that's kind of like above my head, it's like, it's above my pay grade. Like, I don't know that, but I need to learn it. I need to research it, right? So when we're looking at efficiencies, how do we boost that? So we're going to look at how do we optimize our workflow? And what does that even mean? And we're going to talk about just what we were talking about, leveraging technology. How do we embrace technology where it's going to support us, not hurt us? And then we're going to look at how do we delegate? What do we need to delegate? And we're going to make sure that when we delegate, it's for the right reasons, okay? And I know when people start to go, but I'm a small business, I don't want to delegate, I can't afford it, right? At some point, there is a time where there's a tipping of the scales, so to speak, where it's going to cost you more by not delegating. So you want to really, and that's part of that first step we're going to talk about, right? You really need to know what's working within your business and what isn't working within your business. So, workflow. What does it mean? What does that, like when you think of workflow, what does that mean to you? And this is interactive, so you guys comment your thoughts. I'm watching the comments and I'm going to respond to them. So, yeah. For whatever reason, my comments on my computer aren't catching up with my phone, which is why we do both always, right? That's our plan B. So when we're thinking workflow, we're thinking, what does it take for us to complete a task? And I think we underestimate the number of steps and the time commitment to complete something. So what you want to be able to do first is really kind of go through and analyze, what do you do for your business? And what are the steps that are included in doing that for each one? And this seems overwhelming, absolutely. All things that you have to do in yourself or with a team. Yeah, I'm hiring out for copywriting, Nicole says, and I'm terrified, but I just can't do it, right? So this is where we're talking tipping point, right? Like a scaling, at some point, it gets too much and you become unproductive. So when you're looking at workflow, right? So an example is I'm working actually with Nicole. She's helping with me with some of my emails, and we identified what we need to do to be able to do the change to a certain email. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, here are all the steps. And it's really important that there was clarity there, because if not, then I was setting her up for a failure, right? And that's not fair. It's not fair to her, it's not fair to me. So not much is working, but I was told Reels was the way to go, but I've read on how to do them, but I don't know how to execute it. Right. See, and that becomes part of the steps, right, Sherry? So when we're thinking of social media content and creating content as part of our workflows, how much can we get done? And is it to the standard that we want it to? So think about from a professional perspective, like when you receive a document or a product, you have a certain expectation of what you're going to receive. And I know there's this big thing, like before it was like super refined videos, super refined posts, everything had to be perfect. And then it kind of, the pendulum swung, and it was more about like the raw, authentic, don't overdo it, right? Don't over commercialize it. So it becomes so perfect that people go, well, is she even real? Like, who is this person, right? Is this who she really is, or her? So that's part of it. So knowing that, you have to go through and take the time. You have to invest the time to work through your own workflows. And so there's times like yesterday, it took us 30 minutes to work through what are all the steps. And we realized that by investing that 30-minute time frame, for us to make the changes we need was only going to be like 4 minutes an email. So we saved a bunch of time with the clarity and with the layout to be able to say, okay, this is what we're going to do now. This is how it's going to get done, and we're going to be really efficient at it. Because guess what? When we're efficient with our time, what happens to our bottom line, right? It gets better. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking at how do we optimize our time and energy to get more done, either faster or better, so that way the end result is a high quality, high output that meets our professional standards of what our expectations are. So that way when we're speaking to our clients or our potential clients, whether it be a social media post or our emails, that there is that, because we've talked about before, brand voice. Everything you put out into the public is going to reflect on your brand voice. It's going to reflect on your brand. So that saying, right? Failing to plan is planning to fail. This is where it's critical. When you have your systems, your workflow refined enough where you can say, I can do this because I've systemized my process, right? I've been able to say, this is what's working, this is what's not working, I'm going to take it out, or this is a replicate, I'm going to take it out, we don't need to do it twice for whatever reason, right? So, and there's always that learning curve, so you have to remember that, give yourself a little grace. When you're working through a workflow and you're going to streamline it, make it more effective or more efficient, right? So if any of you have any interaction with corporate business, they call it the lean process. And you'll see it, lean process certified SL 900 or something, or 9,000. You'll see it on some of the buildings, right? And that's important because that sets them apart because they have refined their workflow to be optimized for the best possible product with the least cost. And this is kind of where our business mind, and if we're new to business, if we're kind of taking that side hustle and moving it into a full time, or we have an idea and we want to launch a business, we need to make sure we're looking at our workflows to maximize how much energy we're getting out of what we're putting in, right? So energy in versus energy out. So you want to, this is my challenge to you guys, over the next week, take a look at your workflows. And I'd like you to identify 3 areas that you can improve your workflows. And it can be any workflow. It doesn't matter. If you make handmade products, take a look at your process to make the product. Can you improve it? Can you save time someplace? Without cutting corners, without, doing the, a negative impact on the quality of what you're making, right? You want to make sure that you keep the same standard, but you want to look at what part of that workflow process is not as efficient or effective and make improvements. So I'd like you guys to identify 3 areas for the next week of how you've improved your workflow. And that leads us right into the next one, right? The leveraging of technology. Who's been our best friend right now? AI, right? AI has been this game-changing, like my color's all cockeyed here, right? So that was a squirrel moment, sorry people, but it was bugging me, right? So AI has been a game changer for us. We have been able to, what, by the use of AI? What has AI done for us as small business owners? Anybody want to take a guess? So what would I consider a workflow? That's Maria's question. So while you're thinking about how AI has supported us, so Maria, your workflow is taking so for your specific example, you're awarded a contract with a company who wants part of their website translated. What's step 1 through step done? That's your workflow. Does that make sense? I'm watching comments to make sure that, because I think there's a delay I'm noticing. So AI has opened up and leveled the playing field. Yes, okay, good job. Thank you. Right, so AI has leveled the playing field for us small business owners to be able to create content, to not have to be a renowned content writer. We don't have to be this guru. AI can provide us the starting point, the jumping off point. So that learning curve that we were talking about, right? Like normally the learning curve is like this huge long hill, and then you get to the top and you're like, yeah, okay, now I can do this. AI has like gone, whoop, and we're here. And that has shortened that learning curve. So what has that done? it's allowed us to do what we couldn't have done before. So an example might be you have an idea of, I'd really like to teach a course. Like I make candles and I'd love to teach a course on candle making. Well, before you'd be like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even, like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I teach a course on candle making, right? And not in person, but from a distance. Guess what? You get to go to AI, to chat, or to Gemini, right? Which is Microsoft's Bard, or yeah, Google Bard, whatever. They changed it from Bard to Gemini, I think it was, or Genesis, I think, right? So, or Copilot. So you have these resources that you can type in a prompt and say, hey Bard, hey chat, I want to teach a course on candle making. What do you suggest? And guess what it's going to do? It's going to help you. It's going to outline some of the things you can do. It's going to give you that jumping off point. Is it going to, it could write the whole thing for you, right? So, exactly, right? So Maria's saying she's been using AI to help in creating outside the box content creation for her blogs and lessons. Exactly. You could refine your use with AI from start to finish. I don't recommend it. I recommend you use it as a jumping off point. Let it get you to a certain point where then you take it over and say, okay, this is a great draft. Now, I'm going to make it sound like me. I'm going to make sure it's aligned with my values. It's aligned with my expertise and my ultimate goal for the person taking the course, right? So, but it shortened that learning curve. Like all of a sudden, instead of it taking months to create something, you can get there in a matter of days or weeks, depending on how much extra time you have, right? So technology is our friend when we use it properly, and technology can also not be our friend if we misuse it, right? And the misuse is where you just take it, copy and paste it, and let it be. So knowing that, you want to, what other pieces of technology can you use to boost your efficiency? Like we're talking, right, about team members, right? Maria had mentioned team members earlier. So what other technologies are available or softwares that can help us be more efficient, more effective with our time? So an example would be Slack, right? As a communication tool between your team members. All of a sudden it's instantaneous. It doesn't matter where they are, what time zone they are in. You can be posting voice notes, comments, sharing files, images, etc. And it's an instantaneous communication tool. It's not filling up their inbox, so it becomes less stressful, more efficient for the receiver as well, right? So when you're thinking of a communication tool. Another organizational tool is Trello. And we did a Trello training on the first Lunch and Learn. And it's an amazing resource. So, right, organization of your thoughts, your to-do list, your checklist, all the whole thing. So that's another software or technology you can use. So again, Google Drive. I don't know if any of you, not that I want to go here, but when you're listening, like today I had the news on at one point, and they were referring to Google Docs. So they're actually using Google Docs to update themselves instantaneously from a reporter. So they're like saying, yeah, so, the Google Doc just got updated. Hang on a second, let me read what was written. So how you use the tools are going to increase your efficiency. So I'll give you an example. For this Facebook group, right? Some of you provide your email address to get the information you ask for, right? The free workbook, the resource. So we take your information, we put it into an Excel spreadsheet, or actually a Google Sheet. It automatically, because of the add-ons that we have, it updates MailChimp, so that way you immediately get that sent out. There's no timeline. So there's no double work. It also updates our Trello board to make sure that we are staying committed to one of our missions. And one of our main missions is to connect with each and every one of you when you join, where you get sent a welcome email, like direct message, for us to just, hey, thanks for being here. How can we support you? Lean into the group, right? We want that personal touch. So it's either coming from myself or Ariana, and because it's important for us to have that direct communication. Because for us, this group is one of the solutions for you as a business to grow and thrive. And that doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen by not having that direct connection with each of you. So by having that automatically update, what has happened in our timeline? Our timeline has like shrunk so much. The time investment has shrunk because of the automation. So think of when you look at your workflow, what can you automate? So that's part of when you're starting to kind of do that review this week. What can you be automating? What can happen like while you're quote unquote sleeping, where you're not having to actually worry about it? So take a look at those connections between the different technologies you use. Is there a communication tool? Is there a connector tool? Right? Oh, my husband's calling. I'll have to call him back. Sorry, honey. Love you. So think about it, right? So think about, how does embracing technology allow you to optimize your workflow, which increases your efficiency and your bottom line. So you see how they kind of all, like those, like we're starting to flow in, right? So the last piece is delegating tasks. And this is a big one for small business owners, because what they think of first is, I can't afford it. I can't afford to delegate. Right? And it's okay, raise your hand, say, yes, me, that's me. Every single small business owner, when they are asked, what can you delegate? In their minds, they're saying, I can't afford to delegate. I can't afford to hire people. Yeah, right? I can't afford it. It's not my budget. I didn't budget for bringing on any virtual assistants or IT support. I don't have that kind of budget. And you would be right. In the beginning, you would be right. But that's part of that business plan. It's part of that financial planning, right? It's our mindset. As a small business owner, we have that mindset of lack. I can't afford it. I'm not making enough money, or I'm not making money. I'm still, running in the black, right? Or in the red. I'm still not making enough money to be able to afford that outsourcing. And so I want to acknowledge that. Yes, there will be a level of truth behind that. But when we're thinking of delegating, what did I delegate that I just shared with you? I just shared something that I delegated, and it wasn't to a human. I delegated it to the process, the add-on for Google Sheets, where it automatically updates from one technology to another technology. So delegation doesn't always mean you have to hire somebody. It doesn't always mean you have to, invest monies that you may not have, right? So Sherry's like, after 2 years, I'm still not making any money, but a lot of others on my team are. Awesome. Congratulations to your team members. Then, you know what? It's kind of like, there's the book 3 Feet from Gold, I think it's called. And it's one of those things where you're just like, you're almost there. You can't give up yet, right? You're almost there. You're almost at that tipping point, right? So good, Sherry. Keep at it, right? So, and make sure, lean into the group, Sherry, what we can do to help you, okay? And so Nicole says Trello and AI. Absolutely, right? So when you find your solutions, and I'm going to just say with Trello, I tried it 6 years ago and I hated it. Right? I hated Trello. And I know it's a strong word, but I did. And then, so I just stopped using it. And then about 6 months ago, I started using it again and I fell in love with it. I was like, why didn't I just stick with this? My life would have been so much easier, right? So, yeah. So yes. So that's, right. So when you're thinking of delegating, expand your definition of what delegation means. There are going to be, when you're looking at then leveraging technology and optimizing your workflow, that's about delegating tasks. And it doesn't have to always be to a human. Now, there are tasks that absolutely require a human. That human interface is critically important. And let's just use social media management as an example. So Sherry's just, I know nothing about these free tools, so maybe that's the reason why I'm not growing. Very possibly. So I will drop the link in the comments afterwards, but Sherry, inside of the library of the Women's Business Resource Community are all the replays from the Lunch and Learns, and the Trello replay is in there. So you can watch that Trello. It'll teach you and walk you through how to use Trello. And Nicole's a great person to tap into. She's the one that led that Lunch and Learn on Trello. So I would, reach out to her and connect with her and see if she's got some tips and tricks as well. So you're welcome. So when you're thinking of delegating, right, yes, there's going to be the pieces that you don't have to have a human doing it, but there are going to be those pieces that absolutely require a human. And I think of social media marketing. We can automatic, right? And I'm going to use Meta as an example. We can, through their Meta platform, their business platform, create and schedule all these posts, stories and reels now. You can schedule through there, which is new in the last few months. So, but you see what they were doing, right? They were starting to ramp up for this workplace implementation. So for that, you can pre-schedule all of that. There's still certain limitations. Like you can't change the fonts, you can't change, into header 1 or header 2. So there's still certain limitations. So you can pre-schedule everything you want. But at some point, if you really want to make that marketing pop, it's going to require time. Remember, we talked at the very beginning, you're either going to do a time investment or a financial investment. Pardon me. So if you're thinking your social media marketing is, I don't have time for the engagement. I don't have time for this. How am I going to get all this done? Then you have to start looking at what are the other resources that might be available. And that is somebody else. How can I bring somebody on for an hour a week to take over the social media engagement? And that's why when you start looking at and analyzing your workflow, these are the pieces you're going to identify. So when we say identify 3 areas for improvement, one of them might be, I really need to delegate my social media interaction. Or delegate something else so I can do the social media interaction. It's going to be one or the other, if you don't have the physical time available. Okay? So you're going to want to look at that. So that is kind of delegating, right? There's 2 different definitions. Delegating tasks that don't require a human interaction and delegating tasks that require human interaction. And when you know what to delegate, you can either leverage technology in both instances, implement new technologies, new automations, and then that's going to help you optimize, sorry. I had a bird brain moment for a minute. Optimize your workflow, right? So think about how all those kind of flow. And your challenge is you want to come up with, I'm so laughing at myself right now. You want to find 3 things that you can change and improve within your workflow. That's your goal for this coming week because it'll make a difference in the long run. Okay? Let's see. Questions. Does anybody have any questions? I know Maria said she had to hop off. So Sherry, Nicole, anybody else that might be on that's watching that you guys have any questions, comments? Has this been helpful? Okay, so if you are looking for support, lean into the group, make your posts, ask questions, create posts. Remember, Sundays are our small biz Sundays, so those are the days that you guys have free range to post all your specials, everything about your business. You know, if you want to promote a product, etc., etc. Sundays are your days. I approve them until, you're welcome, Sherry, until 10 p.m. Eastern, because after that I turn my technology off. So if it's after 10, I won't approve it. But just so you know, I will approve it all day long. Okay. Mondays, again, we're talking strategies. Every Monday we send out an email, and it's our Go-Getter Moxie. And it is an email that gives you a business strategy with the steps to implement the strategy. So if you're not on the email list, we can add you. You can either DM me your email address and I can add you. We also send out Wednesdays. It's the review, a recap of the previous week's advice columns over on the Women's Business Resource Community. So every day there's a new article posted on a different topic with strategies to implement that topic. Again, that's free for you to access as a member. You can become a visitor. We call our free membership a visitor. So again, we do a recap on those on Wednesday, and then Fridays is the kind of, we highlight certain products, books, workbooks, worksheets, and courses. So a wealth of knowledge over in the Women's Business Resource Community. And what we like to dub the platform is now the village. So we want you to come be our neighbor. Let's see. Oh, okay, what's today, Tuesday? Yeah, so Thursday, I'm going to give you guys, I'll likely post it tonight or tomorrow morning, depending. We are going to do the last 6 days for the general public, but the last 8 days, you guys as members are going to have access to unlock your business potential by becoming a neighbor. That is the membership level within the Women's Business Resource Community, where you get 3 chances at group coaching. You unlock all the workbooks, worksheets, courses for free. It's included in your monthly subscription. But you also, we're going to add in as a bonus for you guys, you get a free hours private coaching session as well. So that's the bonus for you guys. And I'll post about that in the group either tonight or tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. So does anybody have any other feedback? Have any comments? Any last minute questions? No? Then I think we're good. Yeah, so I'll drop those links in the chat. And then we'll go from there. Perfect. All right, ladies, thanks for joining us this morning. Super excited to meet a few new people in here, and thanks for participating. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a beautiful day. Thanks. Now I got to remember where the end live video button is, since it's different. All right, have a great day, guys.